Hello everybody, welcome to Asarosi Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year. So your subscription would be not by the end of the year, by the end of the playoffs. Silly me. Your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like, takes 1 second, makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. We are 16k from that 100k goal, so please hit the subscribe button. Also go check out the Shoot Around, which is my podcast that I host live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday and Sunday with Rudy St. Clair, who is the editor of my main channel, as well as Mojo99, who is another NBA YouTuber. Links for that will be in the description, the most recent episode and all of that. Anyways, post-game recap, we're going to be talking about the Suns-Nuggets game and the Bulls-Pelicans game. I'm not going to talk too much about the Bulls because I did a whole video pretty much dedicated to them recently. I'm primarily going to talk about the Pelicans in that situation, and then, of course, the Suns and the Nuggets. So we're going to open with the Suns-Nuggets game, and the primary player that I want to talk about is Devin Booker, who had 49 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 steals. I will say it was kind of annoying, the fact that he was 1 point shy of the 50 bomb, because basically for the last half of the fourth quarter, the Nuggets basically decided anybody but Booker was going to beat them. And the thing is, Phoenix's offense is talented enough that, okay, they will beat you. In this case, it was Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges who closed the game, as Devin just got doubled as soon as he crossed half court. A really good game from Chris Paul and his return, 17 points and 13 assists. The way Denver was defending him was really interesting. They were kind of denying the mid-range shot. He got a few of them up, and they pretty much all went in when he did get them up. But for the most part, they were playing it for the mid-range shot. They were stepping up in the pick and roll, bringing help defense to like swat at the ball and stuff like that. And the thing is, what makes Chris Paul such a deadly player with that mid-range shot out of the pick and roll is, if you're going to help on it and you're actually going to defend it, he's going to find somebody open, because in a pick and roll situation, if you step up on the ball handler, you're pretty much always going to create an open opportunity. Either a player rotates to the roll man and that leaves someone open, or someone doesn't and you just simply dump it off to the roll man. There were a couple of times where he found DeAndre Ayton, and Ayton has really good touch around the basket, so he was able to just float it up. Or there were a couple of times where help came from the weak side and it resulted in a pass for a corner three. It happened like 2 times with Mikal Bridges. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Miles. Anyways, that was something that I noticed from this game. But Devin Booker obviously is the headliner for this one, as he has 49 points. He did it in the pretty typical Devin Booker fashion, though I will say he got to the free throw line a little bit more than I think he does on a regular basis. And it was basically just mid-range shots and stuff like that. There was a couple of good drives, and specifically a lot of fast break opportunities, because he created a couple of opportunities with steals of his own. This is a pretty good defensive game from him, not just for the steals and blocks that he acquired, but just the good rotations and stuff like that. And his all-around game as well, his playmaking. He had 10 assists in this one. A couple of really nice passes. One was that sticks out to me was the lob that he threw to DeAndre Ayton when there was like this much time to actually make that decision. Just really, really good decision making from him the whole game. And it's pretty much just an offensive masterclass, because he was either creating his own bucket, or he was finding somebody else damn near every possession, or he was getting fouled. So great game from Devin Booker, and a lot of people have been talking about him recently, especially because he quoted some tweet about it. But it was about him in the MVP discussion. My takeaway is there's just simply been better players than Devin Booker, and that's the end of it. On top of the fact that like the winning factor seems to be mattering less in people's eyes with the MVP discussion, it seems like that might be a point of view that becomes a thing of the past. We'll have to wait and see. I've always just picked MVP based on what the precedent was, but the precedent might actually be changing. There's just simply been better performers than Devin Booker this year, though. Like Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid have played better than Devin Booker this season. That's the end of it. I don't know what else to tell you. So as for that discussion, I think it's a little silly. Mark I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but Mark, who's a really good Twitter follower, I'm sure that's real fucking helpful. His name is just Mark. He tweeted not too long ago, like, we can praise a player's season without automatically talking about how they have to be in MVP discussions. It's basically how I felt about DeMar DeRozan. And DeMar is clearly not in fucking MVP conversations now, so that's ironic. But we don't have to make every time we praise a player for being good an MVP conversation, because half the time we're saying that someone should be in the conversation or into the discussion, but we also say that about 5 other people. So it's like, how far into the rankings do we go into this discussion? Are we supposed to rank like the top 7 MVP candidates? Like, after you've got like the top 4, we're not really talking anymore. So yeah, no, like, sure, do you want to say Devin Booker is the 4th best MVP candidate this year? I'm not going to argue with you, and I don't really care, but it's not him though. He wouldn't be 4 if Steph didn't suck for 3 months straight. Anyways, that is Phoenix's side of the things, as well as talking about that narrative. I do want to mention Mikal Bridges, 8 for 9 from the field today. It feels like a bunch of mid-range jump shots, and weirdly, all but like one of them came outside of the flow of the offense. It was like the offense fell apart, and then like half of them were like off of a loose ball, and he just picked up the ball and shot it. It was a very weird way that Mikal scored a lot of his points today, but there was one play that was like a lob to DeAndre Ayton from Chris Paul that got tipped and it bounced to Bridges and he just shot it. And it was like, yeah, that's exactly how they drew that up. But yeah, great game from him, good game from DeAndre Ayton, great game from Chris Paul, great game from Devin Booker. And the Suns as a whole score 140 points as a result of this. And you'd think that means they absolutely washed Denver, but no, Denver put up a fight themselves as they scored 130. Jokic had himself a pretty good game, although you could argue he didn't shoot the ball as much as he should have because he only took 10 field goal attempts, so he did get 11 free throw attempts. Will Barton, Monte Morris, pretty good. Bones Highland, though. Wow. I believe he had 18 at half, and that was in like 10 minutes of action. He finishes the game with 23 because he cooled down, but he like could not miss, and I believe it was the end of the the end of the third quarter, he hit a buzzer-beating mid-range shot that was really nice. But the last time I talked about a Nuggets game, I don't remember which one it was, but Bones had a good game in that one too. He's a really, really interesting under-the-radar rookie, I would say. I don't know if he's going to make all-rookie team or not. I'd actually have to look at the standings, but he's definitely been like a top 15 minimum rookie this year, and he's been better lately, and I could see him genuinely being like a pretty damn good NBA player. Like, his 3-ball is good, his ball handling and playmaking is pretty good, he has not awful size, he has some crafty finishing. I'm not going to say the sky is the limit, but like the foundations for a rookie guard, I mean, I guess he's probably a 2 guard, right? Yeah. The foundations for a rookie guard are pretty good. Like, his feel for the game, his shooting touch, all of that's nice. Has a good floater game, I believe. I don't know what the numbers on that are, but whenever I see him shoot a floater, it looks good. So, Bones Highland, shout out to him. Outside of that, DeMarcus Cousins, once again, a really good game. He got fucking robbed out of a really nice standing dunk because Chris Paul flopped on the post up. It was the most like DeMarcus Cousins looked like Boogie, like Sacramento and Pelicans Boogie. We have not seen that player since, and I really miss him. I was thinking that the other day when I last talked about the Nuggets. It was like, damn, I do get a little annoyed with the discourse around him because it seems like once a month there's a fucking prime Boogie or Joel Embiid. Which one's better? It's Joel Embiid. Shut the fuck up. But other than that, I have DeMarcus Cousins was one of my favorite players when he was playing, and now especially in the golden age of big men, it'd be really cool if he could add to the ever stacked center position. But I don't think that's going to happen. But he might have carved himself an actual role in Denver because he gets real minutes and he plays well in those minutes. Anyways, Aaron Gordon also had a good game. That's cool, although he took a really dumb shot to close the game. I mean, the game was kind of out of the way, but he took, like, Jokic set a screen for him in the post and he just took a fadeaway jumper. Like, I don't know that that's what the play there was. But other than that, really good cuts to the basket, stuff like that. I think like 2 really nice dunks. One of them off of a great dish from Monte Morris. Denver played a good game, and the fact that they challenged a completely healthy Phoenix team, and it almost seemed like they were going to win the game at one point. Shout out to them for that. But unfortunately, Devin Booker was not going to allow that to happen, and then later, Mikal Bridges and Chris Paul were not going to allow that to happen. Anyways, that was that game. I'm just going to quickly go over the Bulls-Pelicans game. On the Bulls side of things, it was just, outside of Zach LaVine, there was poor contribution, and Kobe White, I should say, because Kobe White had his first good game in a while. It feels like both Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu haven't really had one of their crazy games in quite a while, and Kobe had one today. Patrick Williams hit a pull-up mid-range shot. Tristan Thompson still should not be in the rotation. Derrick Jones Jr. should be the backup center because the small ball center stuff with him is really good. Zach LaVine had almost 40, and it was nice to see him be aggressive, but ultimately fell short because the Pelicans punched us in the fucking mouth. Jonas almost had 20 rebounds. CJ McCollum had himself a pretty good game. Devontae Graham had himself a phenomenal game. Felt like every time the guy put up a three-pointer, it was bottoms. Not to mention driving really well, which I know was like his biggest weakness. He hit an and one floater and an and one drive where he like scooped it and it like barely squeaked over the rim. Really impressive stuff from him on that end. Herb Jones got cooked by Zach LaVine. I'm not going to lie. I've not seen as much Herb Jones as I think the average NBA aficionado would have, and didn't see it with Zach LaVine. I've seen plenty of film breakdowns, and I've seen a game here or there, but wasn't the incredible defensive stud that he's had the reputation of being on Zach. Granted, Zach LaVine is one of the toughest covers in the NBA when he's hot, and Zach LaVine was hot today, so it's not really much of a criticism. But the standout guy from this game, and really what put the Pelicans ahead to start the fourth quarter, was Jose Alvarado. This is someone you have probably heard about as one of the cooler stories in the NBA. A guy who I believe was undrafted or close to it. Got an opportunity with the Pelicans, and he has been really good for them. He's a really good defender. He can shoot the three. He's a pretty good playmaker. I'm not going to act like I've seen the most film from him in the world, but I've seen enough, and I knew the guy was the real deal. And today he had 15 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals. Had multiple good defensive possessions against Kobe White and Zach LaVine. And he went off at the start of the fourth quarter, I believe, or maybe it was late third, but it was like 2 floaters, a step back 3-pointer, a couple of defensive plays. He had a really good defensive play on Alex Caruso where he forced him to travel. Yeah, shout out to Jose. That was an incredible performance on his part. Larry Nance Jr. had a really nice dunk. Also, what's his name? Trey Murphy, sorry, had a crazy dunk to end the third quarter. So yeah, I mean, the Pelicans, this is an interesting ass team. I'll say that about them. And I really wish Zion would come back because I think they can be really good. Obviously, no Brandon Ingram in this one, and there was no DeMar for the Chicago Bulls, so I think that evens out in terms of the win being legitimate if the Bulls had DeMar or had one, but obviously it doesn't fucking matter because they lost anyways. Yeah, I'm not going to go on a whole rant about the Chicago Bulls, especially because I am putting out a Bulls video tomorrow, or I guess technically today because it is now 12:03 a.m. But yeah, very disappointed, and yeah, that's all I got to say. Anyways, that is it. Goodbye.